Hello everyone, let us start today with a new chapter of biology, which is excretory system. Excretory system, as the name suggests, it is linked with excretion, the process of excretion. And what is excretion? Excretion is the process in which the waste material is removed from the body. The removal of waste materials from the body is known as excretion. And as we know, there are a number of waste products which are being produced in our body, right? Whenever the food is broken, even the oxygen we are taking in and the carbon dioxide that we are releasing out, it's a waste product, right? So number of waste products are being produced in our body which needs to be thrown out, and this process is known as excretion. And the system which works for throwing out the waste, it is known as excretory system. So before dealing with excretory system, we should know what are the kind of waste that are being generated. So there are various categories. Number one is carbon dioxide and water. Whenever the food is broken, carbon dioxide and water is released, which is treated as a waste product. We cannot store this in our body, right? Water is being mentioned here, but always remember that excess of water is treated as waste material, right? There need to be some balanced amount of water in our body that is needed, but along with that, excess of water can't be stored inside, so that is treated as a waste material. Number two is nitrogenous waste. Nitrogenous waste is one in which the nitrogen is the main component. And nitrogen is the main component mainly in which food material? It is the protein. Whenever protein is digested and it is broken down into smaller fragments, which are amino acids. Amino acids are basically the building blocks of protein. So when protein is being broken down, it gets converted into amino acids, its simplest form, right? So protein is no doubt required in our body, but extra amino acids or the excess of amino acids needs to be thrown out of the body, right? So obviously they are treated as waste material. There are three kind of nitrogenous waste in our body. They are urea, uric acid, and ammonia. And in case of humans, urea is the one which is the waste material. Okay, in different, like in birds, it's uric acid. All right. So nitrogen carrying waste materials are treated as nitrogenous waste, and they are mainly the constituents of protein. Whenever protein is broken down or whenever protein is digested, in that case, urea is produced. Right. And the third category of waste is excess salt. Excess of everything is bad. You might have heard this, right? So salt needs a balanced amount inside the body, but extra salt is not required. So that also is treated as waste material. Next is water. Excess of water, as I already told you, we are drinking water, we are drinking beverages, tea, coffee, whatever, or we are taking various food materials. Inside the food also there is enough amount of water. So taking in water is obviously really important, but whenever it is bad, the sufficient amount is inside your body, then the extra needs to be thrown out, and the extra water is treated as waste. And even the water is necessary for carrying out the waste material. Even if kidney is doing its function, even if kidney is meant to throw out the waste, even if kidney is meant to throw urea out of your body, that urea needs to bind with water, because the dry things won't come out. The urine, basically in our body, the excretion is done in the form of urine. So urine obviously needs water along with it, right? So water is really important. You should drink like 2 liters of water per day, minimum. Maximum as much as you want. Okay, and the last category of waste is the bile pigments. So there are 2 bile pigments. One is bilirubin, another one is biliverdin. two bile pigments are there. Whenever RBC, the dead RBC or the injured RBC or say the worn out old RBC, they die inside the blood. So the liver, basically liver extract out, they take out this broken fragments of RBC from the blood, and what does liver do is it retains the iron part. You know, RBC contains hemoglobin, and hemoglobin has iron as a main component. So liver retains this iron part because this iron can be reused, and the rest of the material along with these two pigments are sent to various organs. Like major part of this waste material, which is the waste material when RBC gets broken down by liver, the waste which is generated, it is mainly sent to large intestine, because large intestine also throw out the waste material from your body in the form of fecal matter. So the yellowish color, which is the fecal matter, basically yellowish in color, it is due to the presence of these two pigments, bilirubin and biliverdin, and some of the waste material is sent to kidney as well to be thrown out in the form of urine, right? So some of the yellowish color of urine is due to this pigment bilirubin. There is another pigment that I'll talk about which mainly gives yellowish color to the urine, but some of the extracts of bilirubin are also sent to the kidney, which is giving the yellowish color to the urine, right? Now the excretory, these are the categories of waste material. Carbon dioxide is there, water is there, bile pigments are there, urea is there, then excess water is there, excess salt is there. So now talking about the excretory organs which are meant to throw out these waste, and the major excretory organ, it is kidney, because kidney is throwing out the major portion of the waste materials from the body. It is the primary excretory organ, and it mainly throws out urea from our body, right? And along with the kidney, there are some accessory organs as well which are functioning some way or other and throwing out the waste. It is skin. As we know, skin has sweat glands in it which produce sweat, and in the form of sweat, water, excess of water and some of the excess salts are thrown out from the body. But as we know that sweat is not produced like every day, it's like some of the days, either when we do some kind of exercise or it's due to the hot and humid weather, only then sweat is produced. So the skin is not the main chief organ for throwing out the waste, but it is working as an accessory organ which is helping somehow in throwing out the waste. And then lungs, obviously lungs can be treated as accessory excretory organ because they are throwing carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide is waste, right? And then liver also detoxifies some of the things, some of the drugs that we take, alcohol and various other components which can only be broken down by liver, and it converts them to urea, and this urea is then sent to kidney from where it is thrown out in the form of urine, right? Now talking about this chief component of our excretory system, the major excretory organ, kidney, how does it look like? So kidneys, there are two kidneys. They are bean shaped, located on the either side of the backbone. Kidneys are located on either side of the backbone, and the right kidney is slightly lower than the left one. They are bean shaped, 10 centimeters long and 6 centimeters wide. The right kidney is slightly lower as compared to the left kidney. And then from the kidneys arise two tubes which are known as ureters. And these ureters combine together in urinary bladder. Okay, and then urinary bladder at the end opens into urethra. So these are the kidneys, these are the ureters. Okay, this one is urinary bladder, and this is urethra. Okay, kidneys are present on either side of the backbone. From the kidneys arise the tubes known as ureters, which combine and fall into the urinary bladder, and the urinary bladder opens in at urethra. All right, now the part where the ureters are attached with the kidney, they are a little bit broad. This part of the ureter is a bit broad and it is known as pelvis. And at the point where the ureter is attached with the kidney, that point is known as hilum. The point from where the ureters arise, that point is known as hilum. And the ureters are wide at the beginning. From where they arise, from where they originate, they are wide at that spot, and this wide, W-I-D-E, this wide spot is known as pelvis. All right. So the kidneys, take out all the waste materials and then combine it with water and form urine. That urine then flows through the ureters and reach into the urinary bladder. Then whenever this urinary bladder is filled up with urine, then at that moment urethra opens and the urine is excreted out from the body, right? Now there are also some valves present here as well, so that the urine doesn't flow back into the ureters and back into the kidney, and here as well. Where the urethra arises, here also sphincter is present, so that whenever there is an urge to urinate, whenever the body feels to like throwing out the urine out, then this sphincter opens and urethra can release the urine. And the process of releasing urine is known as urination, also known as micturition. Do not get confused between this micturition and urination. They are one and the same thing. What is urination or micturition? It is the process whenever we get a message or impulse from the brain, and the process in which the urine is thrown out of the body, that is known as urination or micturition, right? So this is the external. What does kidney looks like from outside? They're bean shaped. But if we look inside of a kidney, how does it look like? Let us try the inside of kidney. Okay, so kidney, as we know, is a bit bean shaped, right? It has two major parts. The outer one is known as cortex, and the rest inner part of the kidney, this is known as medulla. So it has two main portions. The outer one is cortex, the inner region is the medulla. Okay, now cortex is a bit dark and medulla is a lighter region, and the medulla is composed of some pyramids. Okay, some pyramid shaped, and these are known as pyramids as well. They are the pyramids. And the tip of the pyramid, they get pointed here. The tip is a bit pointed. So this tip or this pointed region, this is known as papillae. Right? The pointed region of the pyramid or the tip of the pyramid is known as papillae. And here, from this part only starts the pelvis region. We said now that from the ureters, when they come out from the kidney, they are a bit broad. That region is wide. This is the region, and this is known as pelvis, right? So kidney has two parts, the outer cortex, inner medulla region. Inside the medulla are present the pyramids, and the tip of pyramid is known as papillae. Apart from this, the kidney is full of millions of tubes or pipes, millions of tubules, which are known as nephrons. As the cell is the basic unit of life, similarly, nephron is the basic unit of kidney. Nephron is dealing with almost everything. Okay, nephrons are also known as uriniferous tubules, renal tubules. Renal, the word renal is linked with kidney always, or simply kidney tubules. Okay, kidney tubules, renal tubules, uriniferous tubules, or nephrons. They all are one and same thing. Okay, kidney has millions of nephrons present in it. Now, the whole of the work is done by nephrons. Nephrons are working and collecting the waste and converting it into the urine. So, we'll talk about the structure of nephron now. What does nephron look like? Nephrons, they start with a cup-shaped organ known as Bowman's capsule. This is known as Bowman's capsule. Okay, and this Bowman capsule further enters into another region, a tubule. This tubule is known as PCT. P stands for proximal and C stands for convoluted. Proximal convoluted tubule is PCT. And it then forms into a U-shaped tube known as Henle's loop. This is known as Henle's loop. And then again another convoluted tubule is formed, which is known as DCT. And the last one is collecting duct. And here also a number of blood capillaries are present, and this part is known as glomerulus. This is the structure of nephron. It starts with a cup-shaped organ named as Bowman's capsule. It then enters into a tubule known as PCT, then Henle's loop, and then DCT. PCT stands for proximal convoluted tubule. Convoluted now, this is having convergence, ups and downs. This is U-shaped, Henle's loop. And proximal because it is present first. That is why the word proximal. And this DCT is distal convoluted tubule. Distal because it is located far away. This is proximal because it is present first, and this is distal because it is present far away. And at the last is present the collecting duct, where all of the urine is collected, where the whole amount of urine is collected, right? So what is happening basically is that firstly a blood vessel known as efferent from A, efferent arteriole, enters this region, glomerulus region, and this efferent arteriole is a bit wide. It's a bit wide, okay? It carries blood with a great pressure and here give the portions or the parts of the blood and send them into the Bowman's capsule. Blood with a great pressure is flowing in the efferent arteriole, and when it comes here in the glomerulus region, it filter out the major solid or the major liquid portion, which is having all amount of waste products. Okay, plasma, as we know, is the liquid portion of the blood. So plasma along with number of waste materials will be poured here in the Bowman's capsule, okay? And the remaining portion of the blood, which is the blood cells, etc., which need not to be sent here, they are taken by the efferent arteriole. Efferent from E, this one. And this is quite thin tube. So the one which is entering is wide and the one which is leaving is quite thin. So this is the reason why the blood here is poured with a great pressure, because the artery which is carrying the blood is a bit wide and the one which is taking it back is quite thin. So this creates a pressure, right? And this process is known as ultrafiltration, because the filtrate is sent into the Bowman's capsule with a great pressure. That is why it is known as ultrafiltration. So the major amount of waste material is poured into the Bowman's capsule, and this efferent, it doesn't go back anywhere. It runs along with these tubules, because the filtrate, the material which is sent to Bowman's capsule, there are number of things inside it which can be yet again used by the body, which can be reused or which need to be reabsorbed. Okay, so this efferent arteriole will move along with the tubules of this nephron, because a number of materials will be again sent back into the blood, which the nephron thing can be reused by the body. Okay, so the first step is ultrafiltration and the next one is reabsorption. All the filtrate which is having the waste material is sent to this, and then it passes through PCT, then Henle's loop, and then DCT, and a major portion of things are reabsorbed, which nephron thinks that they are necessary, there is no need to throw them out. They are again poured into the blood, and ultimately the blood vessel moves out from the kidney, and all the waste material is then collected in the collecting duct. And millions of nephrons means millions of collecting ducts, and then all the collecting ducts, they combine and deliver the waste material into the ureters, and then ureters transfer the urine into the urinary bladder, from which it is thrown out. Okay, and a lot of amount of water is reabsorbed, and various glucose, salts like the ions like potassium and sodium are reabsorbed. Mainly the materials which the nephron thing can be reused are then reabsorbed back into the blood, and they are then carried away along with the blood, and the rest of the waste material is collected in the collecting duct. Okay, so talking about the urine which is formed, what are the properties of urine? I said bilirubin gives it yellowish color a bit, and the major portion of the yellowish color of the urine is due to a pigment known as urochrome. All right. So 1 to 1.5 liters of urine is released per day. Its pH ranges between 5 to 8. And as we know, because of the presence of ammonia, nitrogen in it, the urine is having ammonical smell, right? And what does urine mainly contains? What are the materials which are present inside the urine? They are urea, uric acid, one major amino acid which is creatinine, then some of the salts like sodium chloride, potassium chloride, and a bit of ammonia. These are the constituents of urine. And sometimes there are some of the abnormalities linked with urine. Sometimes blood is given out along with urine. In that condition is known as hematuria. When the blood comes out with the urine, it is known as hematuria, and this is due to various infections of the urinary tract, or if there is some kind of tumor inside the tubules of the kidney, or whether there's some stones inside the kidney. In that case, blood is passed along with the urine, and that condition is known as hematuria. And sometimes excess of sugar is carried away along with the urine, and that we all know it is known as diabetes. Now diabetes is also of two types. One is diabetes mellitus. One is diabetes mellitus. Another one is diabetes insipidus. So they are a bit different. This diabetes mellitus, which we mainly call diabetes, in which excess of sugar is passed along with the blood, along with the urine, right? This is sugar wali diabetes. Another one is diabetes insipidus. What happens in this case is that diabetes insipidus, a lot of urine is passed, and the urine which is passed is having too much amount of water. There, if in any case difference between diabetes mellitus and diabetes insipidus is being asked to you, you should know that in diabetes mellitus sugar is being thrown out along with the urine, and in this case extra amount of water is thrown out in the urine. And another difference is that this urine is sweetish in taste and this urine is tasteless because it is having a lot amount of water in it, right? So why diabetes insipidus? There is one hormone known as ADH released by pituitary gland. Pituitary gland releases hormone known as ADH, anti-diuretic hormone. This hormone is controlling the concentration of water which needs to be thrown out along with the urine. We just said beforehand that a lot of amount of water is reabsorbed. So if a lot of amount of water is thrown out, this is because ADH hormone is less or it is not present, right? And this ADH is responsible for controlling the amount of reabsorption of water. So this is all about kidney excretory system. Even because kidneys are removing waste from the body, so they are, controlling the percentage of water and salt inside the body, and this process is known as osmoregulation. Kidneys are responsible for osmoregulation, and in any case, if our kidneys get damaged, if one kidney doesn't work, it's completely fine, but if both gets damaged, then we need either a donated kidney, or if not possible, then dialysis need to be done twice a week. The patient is taken to the hospital where 12 hours, twice a week, 12-hour period, and the whole blood is, cleansed. The whole blood is passed through the machines where the urea and all the waste materials are absorbed from the blood. And that is known as dialysis. So this is all about the chapter. If you have any doubts, make sure you ask me.